The manhwa opens with a war scene, the first and the second battles of Jungwon, the bloodiest war in history. Men lie on the floor, some with their bodies pierced with arrows and others with their heads split open. This is the war that lasted for more than 40 years and entirely wrecked the martial world. But now, the war is heading towards the end. Somebody from a distance yells that the Namgang Palace has been completely destroyed. Both the parties, men in green and the men in red, equally number up to form piles and piles of dead bodies. Another person orders his side of the men to kill the shamanists. He adds that the witch's Red Wind troop must be obliterated. Inside the palace, the events aren't any different. The once intricate walls are now in ruins, and the man who sat on the throne once still sits on the throne, with the addition of a spear through his body, his face hanging cruelly. The Blood Gang has been annihilated. The group of men continuing to fight still appear quite upbeat, ready to continue fighting against all odds. They shout orders at one another, some vowing to die before they back off. Somebody announces that Kang So-hong is here, so they must continue standing firm. Seomin-bai, a brave martial warrior, faces the men, his sword as lustrous as day one. He shouts commands at his men, telling them to stay put in their positions and continue stopping their opponents until Jinwoon, the god of war, strikes down the secret archer. Only a few seconds pass by and Bai almost freezes. Before him stands Junwoon. The name comes off Bai's tongue in a whisper. Just then, tens of men suddenly ambush him and pierce him with their spears. He yells out Jinwoon's name in pure agony. The men are ordered to finish him off, but he keeps yelling out Jinwoon's name. The masked men attack him in a bloody assault. But before they can cause him any significant harm, a cloud of smoke shoots up in the air. A silhouette begins to appear from under the smoke. The men stand there for a while trying to get a sight of whoever it is. Soon the smoke scatters in the air and the identity of the person standing before them becomes clear to them. Prince Gushin of Baksh, the chief scourge of the Bloodstorm, stands in all his might with a hefty sword in one hand while a shield in another. The men don't spare Jinwoon either. Instantly after being recognized, the prince is attacked. With much valor, he fights one man after another. His face is firm with determination as few realizations pop in his head. In his first life, he was killed before he could even go near the Goshanbi Palace. His grip tightens around his sword and he stiffens. This time he will kill him. He attacks the man in front of him, tearing his mask in half. He remembers how his people had told him that they are only capable to hold off the Goshanbi Palace guards for a maximum of 2 hours. He remembers how he had promised them that no matter what he will go there and kill them. Additionally, he had told them that he will hold the guard off for as long as he can. Now, as he stands before the men in the battleground right in front of the Goshanbi Palace, he can't help but remember why he is here. With a surge of power, he shoots up in the air like smoke and makes his way inside the palace in honor of his lost companions, coming face-off with his opponent, Kang So-hong. But in this life too, fate isn't kind to Jinwoon, who gets killed not long after. Fast forward to the present day, Ji Yeonhwa, a beautiful but arrogant girl, sips on water at the dinner table as she informs her friends of her brand new suitor. One of her 2 friends tells her that Seomin-se, Yeonhwa's fiancé, is nothing special considering that he was disbanded from the Council of 5 Great Dynasties. Yeonhwa clarifies that it isn't Seomin-se she is engaged to but Seomin-bai. Upon hearing this, her friend loses her calm and this prompts Yeonhwa to bang her glass on the table to make her stop fussing. She argues that it doesn't matter who her fiancé is, for she appears confident that she can make either of them best in Jungwon with her own hand. She gets informed that Seomin-bai fell into a coma while practicing dark arts. This infuriates her so much that her grip around the glass tightens further and she breaks it. Meanwhile, a young boy, Seomin-bai, lies on his sickbed. A medic who stands by his side checks his pulse and states that he won't last long. The medic adds that even if the boy manages to come out of this predicament, he will stay in the state of coma forever. Upon being asked if there's a way to save the boy, the medic replies that all the blood veins in his body have burst. He adds that Seomin-bai's key meridian is also broken. Later, as the boy remains asleep in deep coma, the dirty rat begins to sneak into his bed. Just then, he moves his hand and grabs the rat instantly. He wakes up with a jerk and realizes that he has succeeded in the second soul transmission into another body. Jinwoon's expressions soon change into one with concern. Where is he now? He thinks to himself. Unexpectedly, a sharp pain shoots up through his head, forcing him to bring his hand up to his forehead. He realizes that something is pouring into him. The memories of the original owner of the body. The owner of the body turns out to be none other than Seomin-bai, who tries to communicate with Jinwoon. Seomin-bai's soul requests the new soul of the Jinwoons to prove to his father that he isn't waste. Afterwards, one of the servants rushes to inform Seomin-bai's father that his son has awakened. His father makes his way to the ancestral shrine to see Seomin-bai paying tribute. He informs Seomin-bai that the doctor needs to examine him first. Suman Bai dismisses his father's request and puts forward his own. He asks to be allowed to enter the council. Upon hearing this, the father is taken aback. He tells his son that the council is only accessible to the Suman Sai family. Suman Bai tells his father that he wants to learn the martial arts. His father yells at him for even putting such a request forward, considering that he had fallen into a coma the last time. Suman Bai insists again that he should be allowed to train. Discerning his determination, his father allows him to join the council, adding that he's glad that his son woke up. Suman Si is a family that has been respected for its martial arts and traditions, but was expelled from the council of 5 great families by the Tang family 100 years ago. But for Suman Bai, it was this family that defended Jungwon in the war. Jinwoon's soul inside Suman Bai wonders if it is fate that he took over the body of Suman Hui's younger brother. Jinwoon realizes that he has come to a time 10 years before Jungwon was invaded. He reminds himself that now he is not Jinwoon, but Suman Bai. He must live his life accordingly now and should instantly start his martial path. Later at night, Ji Yunhua, alongside a few men, makes her way to the ancestral shrine with the intentions to kill Suman Bai. In his first life, Jinwoon was killed in the Battle of Jungwon when he was only 21, just when the war was coming to an end. In his second life, he had reached the end of the war, but lost his life when his allies were wiped out. In the present day, he thinks to himself he isn't going to get killed by a few inexperienced men after having survived bloody wars before. He casts an illusion in front of the men, making them think they successfully got him. Jinwoon realizes that they are the blood assassins. He recalls that these blood assassins were the ones to betray them in the first war. It just takes in one tornado fist and he disarms all of the men. Ji Yunhua, who's covered in a cloak and a hood, realizes that all her men are killed. This realization is much shocking to her, because Suman Bai to the world is incapable of doing something like this. She makes her mind to go confirm what she just witnessed. The only alive man by her side tells her that they need to leave immediately, to which she replies that she will not unless Suman Bai is dead. Just then, Jinwoon, who is basically Suman Bai, appears before them. It takes Ji Yunhua a minute to believe what she is looking at. She is very well aware that he had blacked out after participating in dark arts. Suman Bai appears infuriated at her sight. He questions her for sending assassins after him as her fiancé. Ji Yunhua is unable to reply, almost as if her tongue is tied. She finds her gaze as intense as of an Ashura. Even so, she is not ready to admit her defeat. She orders the remaining assassins to kill him. As she watches the two parties clashing swords, she realizes that Suman Bai's sword style is simple, yet so much more elegant than before. She realizes that it is full of power. Just then, Suman Bai's father, the head of the Suman family, Suman Sega, appears from behind. He reminds the assassins that they are not a family of weaklings. Yunhua replies that he is the first person who had disrespected the Heaven clan. The man beside Yunhua, however, starts apologizing, quite against her appeal. The man promises that this won't happen again, and the leader of the Heaven clan will take the necessary steps to ensure that. Upon hearing this, Sega announces that his family severs all ties from the Heaven clan. The next day, Suman Bai sits with his father over tea as he tells that he has observed positive changes in Bai's health and inner energy. He adds that although Bai's training had gone wrong, he still managed a swift recovery. Upon this, Bai just shrugs his shoulders, saying that he supposes he got lucky with it. This reply doesn't satisfy his father, who asks him if he feels okay after his cancelled engagement. Bai assures his father that he is doing alright and takes his leave right after. His father stops him and proceeds to hand him over a letter sent for him by the Yutian Academy. The sight of the letter surprises Bai as he recounts that Yutian Academy is the best martial arts academy. As he is lost wondering what made the academy send him a letter, someone answers his thoughts from behind. Suman Hui, the sword master, and his brother tells him that he has been accepted at the academy. Bai is left standing as he adjusts his eyes at Suman Hui. It appears as if he can't believe that the Sword King stands right before him. He recalls that when the Great War of Jungwon broke out 20 years ago, Suman Hui was already known as the greatest genius in history. He had reached the ultimate level of swordsmanship with a single sword. He was also known as the greatest sword master in the world. In his previous life, Junmoon always felt an unexplained distance between himself and Suman Hui. Back then, it had appeared to him that his way of thinking was different from Hui's, but he had also noted that there was not a single person more loyal and dutiful towards Jungwon than him. Bai greets Hui, who in turn notes that Bai looks better than before and has recovered quite fast. Bai realizes that in this life, at the mere age of 20, Hui has already reached an extraordinary level. Jinmoon appears calm for someone whose mind works for two people at one same time. As Bai, he announces that his body has improved a lot. Suman Hui announces that he wants to go on a walk with Bai, to which their father insists that they must since they are meeting after a long while. Suman Hui asks Bai if they should proceed to go on a walk in a lowly voice. Subsequently, they leave to go on a walk. The two stand beside an enchanting waterfall as they look down upon the flowing stream of water. Xiumenhui asks Bai if he remembers the place, who replies that he certainly does. Bai elaborates that this is the same place where Huit performed a sword dance to commemorate the completion of the wind sword technique when he was barely at 10 years of age. Xiumenhui rejoins that his brother hasn't forgotten. Bai acknowledges that it is not easy for him to forget, considering he was very envious of his brother's achievements. They stare at the inscription on the cliff between the two flowing water streams. As they look on it, they realize that the word wind is still inscribed on it. Just then, without a warning, Xiumenhui seizes Bai's right hand and holds it up with a stern expression on his face. Xiumenhui thinks to himself that Bai's pulse is too strong for someone who almost died. In fact, he recounts that Bai is much healthier from before. Almost as if reading his brother's thoughts, Bai lets out that he got lucky with his life. Having been caught like that, Xiumenhui dismisses the argument, adding that he finds this to be quite remarkable. He then asks about Bai's broken engagement and how was he able to be so unreasonably cool about it. Bai retorts that the Heavens clan brought assassins on him to get him killed, so it is only fair for him to not care about the engagement and take the right decision in the regard. Upon being ambushed by questions all of a sudden, Bai asks his brother if he brought him on a walk to talk about the unimportant things. Upon this, Xiumenhui tells him that he hardly wants Bai to go to Yutian Academy. The stare down that follows is not an intimidating one, but rather as if Hui is trying to see through Bai's soul. Breaking the eye contact, Hui adds that the Yutian Academy is the most prestigious academic institution that has maintained its reputation through decades. He adds that there are many things that can only be learned at Yutian Academy. Bai asks his brother if he thinks that spending 4 years there is worth it. Upon hearing this, Xiumenhui loses his calm. He almost yells at his brother, having not expected this absurdity out of him. Ignoring Hui's outrageous reply, Bai puts forward his decision. He tells him that he has no intentions of staying at the academy for 4 years. He adds that he finds it to be a waste of time and takes his leave. He jumps down the cliff and stands on the stream of water. Hui, who observes him from above, is taken aback. He notices that in his absence, Bai has changed a lot. Back at the clan house, he gets angered upon being followed by Soyan, the servant girl. She tells him that it is her duty to see him to bed and take care of his needs. In bed, Bai is unable to sleep as he thinks about entering the Yutian Academy. Spending 4 years at the academy is a little too much for his liking. He recalls that using the Heart of the Dragon method, he can quite efficiently open the clogged blood vessels and get rid of the impurities of the body. Additionally, he realizes that the Wind Dragon method can only be mastered by the head of the family, that is his father, Xiumenhui. It annoys him that in his previous life he had mastered the method, but in this life he can't do so. Just then, he tries to connect with 3 dragon spirits in an attempt to carry out the methods. The beam of the light from carrying this out shoots from him, up through the property and into the sky. Sensing something odd, Xiumenhui makes his way to Bai's room to see that his room is nearly demolished, leaving him questioning what Xiumenhui is up to. Xiumenhui stands feeling pride after having successfully attempted the demon-slaying wind blast technique without realizing that everything in his path has been completely demolished. This technique, he reckons, is 3 in 1. Soon, Xiumenhui makes his way to Bai. He asks his younger brother about his whereabouts. Bai replies that he got bored practicing martial arts, so he came out for a walk. Hui questions Bai about his martial arts training and where has he be learning it from. Upon being asked, Bai tells that he has mastered the wind technique. Hui doesn't believe him and proceeds to accuse Bai of lying. Just then, Sega intervenes the two and orders Hui to go to bed. The next morning, while taking walk, Bai realizes that his meridian levels have gone quite up. As he walks through the market, he finds the atmosphere quite peaceful. He watches kids playing with their fathers and families having meals together. He realizes that most of his life he has spent fighting battles and training. This change feels good to him. Just then, his eyes land on kids bullying a girl. Upon close inspection, he realizes that the girl is Soyan, who is carrying bags of rations. They begin throwing stones at her. He quickly gets to her aid and stops them. Upon being asked, the kids tell Bai that the girl is an outsider, a slave. This ignites anger in Bai, who yells at them for not knowing the etiquettes to treat humans even if they are a slave. The kids run away and Soyan greets her young master. Bai takes the bags from her and begins to carry them after having noticed Soyan's bruised hands. He asks her who ordered her to carry such heavy load. She replies that it was their head servant, Bagwigak. Later, Sega and Hui are informed that Bai is beating people of Jiyendang like dogs. The two rush to see what the fuss is about, only to see Bai having rendered a servant unconscious after beating him too much. Bai orders the other servants to pick servant Zhang off of the ground. Covered in blood, Gak is barely able to keep his ground as a few men hold him. One of the junior servants questions Bai the need to do such a thing. He asks what is it that his master Zhang did to him. This infuriates Bai, who threatens to hit him. Bai asks Zhang if he admits his sins, but the servant appears oblivious, unable to comprehend what his sins are. Bai is about to hit him again when Zhang confesses that he lowered all the servants' salaries. Bai continues to hit him, and one after another, the big guy admits his sins. They happen to be a little too much for Bai to swallow. He calls Soyeon and orders her to lift up her skirt. Her bruised legs make everyone's eyes wide. Bai yells at him and asks him why he hit her so much and then didn't even bother to get her medical assistance. Zhang admits that it is because he finds her different from them. Bai then proceeds to call Gak from amongst the servants. Gak explains that he made Soyeon carry all that load because he was and considers the servant community as his family. He realizes that Gak has committed both a felony and an act to get disqualified. He recalls that in the First and Second Jungwon War, families and sects collapsed due to the downfall of lower-level warriors. These families and sects, he recalls, were short-sighted, and they got retribution for their evilness. He hits with his stick, but his father intervenes and stops him. He questions his son what drove her to do something like this. Bai yells at his father and tells him that he is not qualified to interfere. He also adds that he finds that his father is not qualified enough to be the head of the family. He begins to point out the people who work under them and all that they have been up to. Names like Ji Xiandang, the 3rd Hall Master, Chen Hong, the 7th Hall Master, all these people have been robbing the poor off of their rights. He points out another servant. Bai tells that this person has committed a capital crime, all because his father could supervise the affairs of the place. The 2nd Master had confessed that the Seoman family was involved in corruption and scandal, creating a huge ruckus. The angry patriarch orders for all those involved in these crimes to be punished severely. The servants and maids who were deducted their wages originally received twice the amounts. These actions can't completely eliminate the evil of the past, but still promote a clear wind of change. Soya misses her young master as he has left right after. She appears grateful of his generosity, hoping that life may come full circle at him. Meanwhile, Bai climbs a cliff during a terrible snowstorm. What he has going on in his mind is unclear. Bai finally manages to get to the top of the cliff amidst the thunderstorm. He realizes that although his body is recovering rapidly through the wind spirit technique, it hasn't yet been able to fully recover its physical strength. It is the Qianzhongsan Mountain. He hadn't thought that he would be visiting this place get his sir the 3rd time. In Jinwoo's previous life, he was able to become a war god because he had discovered this place. To get his strength back, he makes his way to what looks like a wooden casket and places his palm on it. Just then, 2 swords and a shield come suspended in the air in front of him. One of them is Maya, the sword of death that wasn't released from his hand until the moment he died. The other is Urando, which always craves blood, while the shield is called the ruler of the Manak. In a box, he finds a pill. He reckons that he needs to eat this heaven and earth pill again to gain back the required strength. As he swallows the pill, he feels a strong wave of energy through him. Back at the house, Guai and his father engage in a conversation. Guai asks him when his Bai's return expected. His father replies that it has already been 2 months and their hope is growing thin. He adds that a round trip to the Qianzhongsan Mountain only takes 4 nights. Just then, they receive the news that the Morimli Hiocheng branch has ordered Bai to be arrested. A few days later, as Bai makes his way through a bridge, a young girl requests him to buy flowers from her. The girl turns out to be an assassin. Just as he gets the flowers from her, she attacks him and renders him unconscious. The ambush on Seoman Bai was a gift from one of Yeonhui's men, Yang Jepyeong, to her. He had told her that he was interested in her and had a surprise for her. When Yeonhui looks at Bai's unconscious body, a wave of satisfaction passes through her. But before she could celebrate, Bai is standing on his feet again. The guy tells her that he ordered the twin assassins to kill Bai for her, as he had hurt her feelings in the past. Funnily, he asked Bai to apologize to Yeonhui. Taking a look at the dead assassins, Bai retorts that they are way past the apology phase. The two then clash swords. Bai reckons that he has never seen or encountered Jepyeong in the First or Second War of Jungwon. Jepyeong uses different martial techniques, but all of those go in vain as Bai manages to dodge them quite easily. Soon enough, the course of the duel turns completely in favor of Bai. Just as Jepyeong gets under his sword, he asks him where it is that he got the tattoo on his chest from. Jepyeong doesn't reveal, so Bai isn't left with much of a choice as he approaches to kill him. The bridge breaks in two as an unknown warrior appears in front of him after having rendered both Jepyeong and Yeonhui unconscious. He asks the man who he is, but the man seems to be taking things slow. Eventually, he introduces himself as Kang Ganghyun. Upon this, Bai realizes that he is one of the 3 great masters in the world. Bai introduces himself as the 2nd master of Seoman family. Ganghyun adds that he had to intervene considering that the clash between Bai and Pyong was getting a little too intense. He adds that there was no need for Bai to make Pyong crippled. Bai clarifies that Pyong happens to come with his father again. He won't think twice before bringing the same fate to him as well, and is ready to go as far as fighting the Moram League. Ganghyun replies that he understands why Bai is getting all touchy and emotional. After a few exchanges, Bai takes his leave. Later, Bai reaches home. He reckons it has been 2 months since he was last home. Soyeon is the happiest to see her young master back home. But before they engage in any conversation, Soyeon tells him to escape instantly. Just then, a group of Seoman's best swordsmen ambushes him on the orders of Seoman Wei. Hwai tells him that there has been an order to arrest him. Hwai adds that being the leader of the Jong-ho guards, he is in no position to ignore the orders of the Moram branch about his arrest. Hwai informs that he knows all that Bai was up to these 2 months and how he crippled Pyong. He orders Bai to go to the Saction branch with him. Bai retorts that he will do no such thing and informs his brother that he needs to immediately go to Auction Hall. Seoman Hui orders the other guards to stay back. They obey immediately. He stands facing Seoman Bai. He points to Seoman Bai, saying he wants to ask Seoman Bai a question, and then continues, asking him what had happened to his martial arts. Seoman Bai looks straight at him, and then says he got enlightened. Seoman Hui looks shocked. Enlightenment? Had the life and death hall been pierced already? It is impossible, he says, without the help of a master. Seoman Bai shrugs. He must have been lucky, he says. Seoman Hui says there were a lot of things that he could not really understand when he looked at Seoman Bai's recent activities. At this, Seoman Bai looks at him with narrowed eyes. Seoman Hui did not have to worry about it, he says. He had not gained this power he had by doing things that violated law and morality. It is simply a coincidence. Good, Seoman Hui remarks. Whatever it is, it requires celebration. The more urgent problem is that Yuchin Hall. Seoman Bai must resolve the arrest order of the Moram League. Seoman Bai then says that he will resolve it. Seoman Hui looks at him sharply. Bai was going to resolve it? Was he being serious? Is it not obvious? Seoman Bai asks. It is something I have done and I must take responsibility for it. Be serious, Seoman Hui yells angrily. At the sound of his voice, crows in a nearby tree fly away. His anger is very apparent. He seems to be seething. Soyeon looks scared. She says as much. Why are you so angry? Seoman Bai inquires, are you saying you are not seaman? Hwai is yelling. He is pointing at Bai. Bai is confused. Huh, he says. From the time you touch the son of Jegumpyeoguk, this fight is no longer just your fight. Seoman Hwai tells him. Bai looks shocked. Seoman Hwai is yelling at him. Because you are father's son and my younger brother. Your fight is our fight. Bai looks quizzical. That is another problem. He yells, surprised. Seoman Hui points towards the door. He tells Bai if he thinks that his father and brother are not his family, then he should pack up and go. The expression on his face is furious. Seoman Hwai tells him no family would be disappointed with their own flesh and blood even if they lack heavenly abilities. However, if Seoman Bai thought that his family members are not worthy of being trusted, then the story is different. He is still pointing towards the door. Soyeon stands to the side, witness to this strange exchange between the two men. A family without Troyuist is not a family. Seoman Hwai yells. The pathway is long and narrow, with vegetation on either side and rocky cliffs hidden underneath. Gochian rides on a horse, his soldiers walking along on either side of him. The man is agitated. One of the soldiers is alarmed. Damn it, the man yells. What the hell am I doing? 3 days ago. It is nighttime, and against the night sky stands a house with red-tiled roof. Inside the octagonal windows, a light shines. Inside the room, on a bed with plain white sheets, lies Seoman Hwai, bare-chested, with the sheet coming up till his navel. He appears to be asleep. Send an inspector from the Moram Lee to Seoman Sega to investigate this matter, a voice commands. No, Gochian replies. He asks if the person who had asked that this matter be inspected will be going to the Moram League inspector. The Seaman family was pushed out of the Council of the Five Dynasties, but recently, their prestige has been increasing. Besides, Seoman Hwai is the leader of the Martial League and Jong-ho guards. Good, the man replies. Then he will inform the Moram League directly. Do whatever you want, Gochian responds. The Moram League seems to care about events like this in the province. The expression on the old man is dark. He remarks that someone had said Hui was reporting this case. He says he is going to file a petition against Gochian, head of the Moram Lee Heching branch, saying that he received bribes from the prosecutor's office every quarter. Present day, Gochian, sitting on the horse, sighs. He wonders why he is stuck in this problems just because of such a small amount of money. There's nothing more embarrassing than this. Anyway, he has to go to the Seaman family and say something. You do not have to go there, a voice says. It is manhwa. Immediately, the guards are in front of the horse and unsheathing their swords. Go Qian is surprised. Manhwa, the leader of the Jiangho guards, meets the branch manager. Manhwa says, "The guards are paying close attention, ready to draw their swords at any second." Manhwa says, "Go Qian, what are you doing here?" he asks. There is a pause. Haha, Go Qian feigns a laugh. "I guess the news that I am visiting has already reached the Simon family. I did not think I would meet you like this," Go Qian remarks. "Nice to meet you anyway." He is sitting stopped his horse, looking down at Manhwa. "It is not a welcoming meeting," he says. Manhwa looks sharp. "I came to impeach the branch manager," he says. "Impeach?" Go Qian is shocked. Manhwa announces that he is arresting Go Qian, the manager of the Hetching branch of Moram League, for bribery and abuse of authority. "Arrest me?" Go Qian yells. "This Go Qian? Catch him!" There is a flurry of activity as swords start flying and the guards surround Manhwa. Manhwa slashes his sword and all of the 3 guards who had tried to intervene him go flying. He stands up straight, looking at Go Qian. Go Qian yells out of frustration. Grabbing his blade, he runs at Manhwa. With a quick flash and a slash, Manhwa breaks Go Qian's gigantic blade. Go Qian is left looking. When he turns back to look at Manhwa is holding his sword against Go Qian's neck. Go Qian is sweating profusely. "Wei!" Manhwa using his sword against the warriors of Moram League. He cries out loud. This is treason. Manhwa is calm. He says he just struck Go Qian with the back of the knife, so he will just faint for a while. "Do you have any proof? Evidence?" Go Qian is so loud. Manhwa points his blade towards Go Qian. "I have already got the evidence," he says. The prosecutor's office is lit up at night. The red tiles on the roof and the pale walls look lovely against the mountains in the background and the night sky. There is not a star in sight. A figure jumps from one building to another and then to another. In a flurry of yellow robes, the figure lands onto the roof. Taking a red book out of their robes, the figure says they cannot believe that Kang Ganghyun, the instructor of Danshin, is going to steal. No. He was just going to take the bribe ledger. There is resolution in his eyes. He looks back at the building in the prosecutor's office. Good for you, you rat, he thinks. He took the side of his son who was in the wrong, and he persecuted the Simon family with it. As he jumps from the roof of the building and into the dark of the night, he thinks to himself he has caused enough trouble to the Simon family, and he will have to fix it himself. It is daytime. In the courtyard, no one is to be seen. In the room Seaman Bai stands in front of a desk. The 2 men sitting in front of him look at him. Seaman Bai puts his fist against his palm in a greeting. "I am Seaman Bai," he says, "one of the 10 guards of the Gangbuk Gyu and one for the teenage masters in the Yushin Guan. Greetings to the Senator Judge Swords Master." Senator Judge Swords Master closes his eyes and asks him how old he is. Seaman Bai responds he will be 17 this year. 17? Senator Judge Swords Master is shocked. What on earth had he been doing at the age of 17? Senator Judge Swords Master is laughing. At his laughter, his colleague asks him if he's okay. Senator Judge Swords Master starts speaking. "Do you ask if I was okay?" Not only the veins in his body, but also the life and death hall are pierced, and the depth of Kai is also at his abdomen. "It is rather too much," he comments. All the time, Seaman Bai is looking at them. Blue light glows around him. Senator Judge Swords Master says for potential, if Manhwa had more than this when he entered Yushin Hall, it would have been more. He trails off. Pass. He tells Seaman Bai to enter the Yushin Hall right away. A lone bird flies in the sky. A man stands sweeping at the front door. A voice asks if this is the Yu Wangru. The man looks back. "Come in. This is Yu Wangru, the best tea house in the league." He looks confused. The man apologizes, saying that the Yu Wangru will only be accommodating the members of Yushin Hall. In front of him, the visitor shows him a paper. The man is shocked that the document has been issued by the Yushin Hall itself. The seal was also the official seal of the Yushin Hall. He welcomed the visitor, saying this Yu Wangru is provided with all the convenient facilities for the attending students of the year. He tells the visitor that a carriage heading to the Yushin Hall will be arriving soon, and until then, the visitor can settle their accommodation there. The student thanks him for the guidance. As he walks by, the man wonders about the kind of people that can pass Yushin Hall. In the dining hall, a golden-haired man sits at a long table laden with food. He asks his servant if this was all the food that was available. He looks up, his red eyes gleaming as he says he thought it would be great since it was all from the Yushin Hall. He sends the utensils and the food flying. "This is what you call FOD?" he thunders. Plates smash on the floor and there is food all over the shocked manservant. A man stands up demanding what the hell was happening. What was with the commotion? What is your name? The golden-haired man asks sweetly. What do you plan to do with it? I have no plans to tell it to scums like you. The man responds, I ask what your name is. Once again, the man with the golden hair and red eyes asks sweetly. The other one looks incredulous. What is so great about your name? He asks. Me? It is Manjuman Lee Ta Seong. The gleam is back in the red eyes as he looks down upon the intruder. There is shock upon his face. What? Manjuman Lee Ta Seong? What? Manjuman, he was the richest man in the world. Damn it, he had touched the wrong guy. Manjuman is giving huge funds to the Yuchen Hall as well as the Mirren League. This guy is the blood relative of the Manjuman interrupts his thoughts. I am asking you, bastard. What is your name? At the lack of a response, he say, I just asked your name. Which family are you from? Manjuman asks. There is silence. Manjuman yells, I am asking you which family are you from? Defeated, the man responds, It is Sojobang. Sojobang? Manjuman asks, Never heard of it. He then asks, Is it in the league? Yes, it is. I hate being around stupid people. Manjuman comments. He tells the man not to wear clothes like this as it's smelly and dirty. In the background, another man orders spore and some beef noodles and Manjuman is distracted. He is disgusted by the smell. Who the hell is the beggar? He asks. The visitor from the gate greets Manjuman. He says he is not a beggar, he is from Zhuge. He tells Manjuman, I am Jia Gao Young. Zhuge? Manjuman questions. He thinks back to his city burning red. Ah, a family that lost all its martial arts due to a great disaster 100 years ago. No matter how much it has fallen, Manjuman comments, You cannot become like this, he tells the man. I cannot breathe because of the smell. The other people in the room laugh. A fight breaks out and Manjuman is thrown against the table. Furniture is broken. Men are thrown around. Manjuman was the man that had almost destroyed the main army. The man standing in front of Manjuman is Xiumen Bai. Xiumen Bai is recognized through his sword and his shield. His sword is the lion sword that made Yang Sang Paiyang, the heir of the prosecutor's office, a cripple. There is a clamor as people start recognizing him. Some even call him Xiumen Hui's brother. A figure rises from amongst the people. Xiumen Bai is shocked when he comes face to face with Jia Gao Young. There is fire and destruction all around. Men lay around, injured and bloodied. Jia Gao Young and Jin Woon are face to face. Another figure attacks Jia Gao Young. Jin Woon looks at the scene in front of him. Jia Gao Young. I'm sorry, Jia Gao Young says, I could only hold up this far. Xiumen Bai immediately hugs Jia Gao Young, who is surprised at the gesture. Why did you do that? Swords slash around, soldiers in purple and green robes fight each other. Countless people lost their lives in the war, but in the midst of this disasters, there were 9 people who built a powerful defensive front. They were called the Absolute 9. 9 people stand on the top of a cliff. Of the 9 absolutes, there was one who rose to the top of the old world with only resourcefulness, not martial arts. Gunshin Jia Gaoliang. Xiumen Bai claps Jia Gaoliang's shoulders. You were there at Yuchen Hall too. Jia Gaoliang asks Xiumen Bai what is wrong with him. Does he know him? Of course, says Xiumen Bai. Jin Woon and Jia Gaoliang were called the gods of heaven and earth while both acting as war gods. Jia Gaoliang is so confused. What did this man mean? Xiumen Bai instantly realizes his blunder. He apologizes, saying he was talking nonsense. From the back, an offended Manjuman tries to strike him, but Bai skips away. With ease, he defeats Manjuman. He says Manjuman keeps saying his name so he will be feared, but he was not even recognized by anyone. The fight between Manjuman and Xiumen Bai escalates until Xiumen uses his sword. Manjuman is shocked. Was that sword Kai? Xiumen Bai warns that next time he really will cut Manjuman. On a bridge by the riverside, Li Gaoliang and Bai meet. It is quiet. Li Gaoliang tells Bai that he came this far reluctantly, but that he must tell him now. He asks Bai how he knows him, because he referred to the gods of the heaven and the earth. It did not make any sense. Bai is confused because as Jin Woon he had observed not just resourcefulness, but also martial arts, but right now it seemed as if he had not mastered the martial arts at all. Bai asks to check Li Gaoliang's pulse. He is annoyed that Bai will not answer his question. Bai jokes with him that his personality will never change, at which Li Gaoliang is confused because Bai keeps talking to him informally. He refuses to let Bai check his pulse, because if a master of Ki overpowers the opponent's pulse point, then he can inflict injuries with his Kai. So there should be no reason to let someone else check his pulse. Bai says he will check Li Gaoliang's pulse anyway and proceeds to touch his wrist. Bai feels a little damage and finds out that the meridian is blocked. Li Gaoliang asks Bai if he is satisfied now, to which he says yes. Bai asks him which department he chose at the Yuchen Hall, telling about the 4 faculties: the Crusaders, Martial Arts, Finance Department, and Department of Medicine. Li Gaoliang tells him he will go to the Divinity and Martial Arts Department. Bai is quizzical that Li Gaoliang wants to learn martial arts because his body is injured, and informs him that if he learns martial arts, he will fall into a coma. Li Gaoliang says he needs to learn martial arts for his family because if he had the power, his family would not have fallen and Manjamin would not have humiliated him the way he did. In front of a carriage, Manjamin plots with someone inside the carriage as they mull over whether to take over Yuchen Hall. Manjamin grabs a small treasure chest from the figure's hands and opens it, saying he did not care what the Manjamin patriarch though. He opens it, and he is immediately infuriated. Calling Bai a bastard, he threatens to kill him. The night is quiet. Jinwoon through Suman Bai is looking for something as he murmurs to himself. Where is the 9 fingers grass? It must be somewhere here since it grows in the Tazangjan flower garden. It was a pure yang object used as the main material for the great Demiru pill of the Shaolin Temple. He pictures the grass in his mind, the medicinal herb. He is reminded of his conversation with Jia Gaoliang, and how he would not have suffered humiliation if he had known his martial arts. Jinwoon could feel that something had changed. There was something different about this life that was not there in the previous 2 lives. But that was not important. What was important that he refined Jia Gaoliang's body so he can learn martial arts. Where was that grass? He calls on some demon-like spirit of determination looking for the grass. A figure appears in front of him. The woman asks him if he is a thief. Jinwoon is surprised. He looks at the woman and is shocked and says Cho Suyan. The woman asks Jinwoon if he knows her. He wonders how he should not know Cho Suyan. She was the only daughter of the Miram Lord, Sword Emperor Cho Yambik. She had played a vital role in the rear guard fight, even though they had never known each other personally. She was known for her beauty and martial arts skills. He tells her all that. Sudian is pleased that she is so famous even a thief knows her. Jinwoon is not impressed. She questions him asking if he is a student here, and that she cannot forgive him for just entering Taizanja and asking him to apologize, and he refuses, saying she called him a thief without any evidence, so she should apologize since Yuchen Hall was no one's property. He walks away, saying it did not matter even if she was the Miram Lord's daughter. Sudian is irritated, wondering how he knows so much about her. Outside the wall, Bai is annoyed that he was interrupted by Suyan's appearance, realizing he could not find the 9-fingered grass. It was an elixir representing yin and yang along with snow lily, because its nature was pure yang. He turns back and enters the building, rushing in. He punches against the floorboard, breaking it. From amongst the broken wood, he can see the 9-fingered grass snug in the soil. It grew in a humid and hot place because of its energy, and with that Jia Gaoliang will be cured. He walks out as Suyan stops him and calls him a thief. She tells him he is Seaman Bei and he should not deny it, and that he should not be roaming around at a time like this. Did he even know what happened to his family member? Bai is confused. His family member? Realization hits him. His brother. Seomin Bai runs through the forest thinking upon his conversation with Suyan. Seomin Sega's youngest daughter, Seomin Seal. What happened to his sister? She was training to be a shaman. What was Bai talking about? Suyan told him Seomin Seal was in Yuchen Hall right now and in an extremely dangerous situation. She had a dispute with Dang Yuan, the youngest son of the Saxion Dang family. He felt insulted and challenged her to a battle of life and death. The battle in which one pours out everything they have and the game only ends when one person dies. Seomin Seal is exhausted. Around her lie fallen fighters. Another 2 are attacking her. She slashed at them. Suddenly, someone grabbed her and pulled her back. Seomin Sega's girl, the man was saying, "It is time to pay the price for defaming our family." A vicious member of the Dang family, Dang Yuan, is holding the young girl from the Seaman family, and it appears to be a family matter that motivated his attack. The girl uses a powerful move called Tiger Claw, delivering 3 deep cuts to the Jinwoon's forearm that was restraining her. Dang Yuan screams in pain and agony, releasing the girl in the process. However, Dang Yuan had taken precautions. The girl, filled with rage, yells for him to die and starts moving towards him, but she suddenly becomes rapidly fatigued. This is the result of the precaution Dang Yuan had taken. He had infected the girl with a deadly poison. It's a shocking display of cowardice on his part. The Dang family is known for specializing in the use of poison, and Dang Yuan didn't view using poison as an act of cowardice. Instead, it was a strategic tactic that his family excelled in. Now that the girl is displaying signs of being affected by the poison, Dang Yuan begins to taunt her. Dang Yuan begins by asserting the superiority of his own family. He boldly claims that in a battle between the two families, the Semin family stands no chance of winning, no matter what they do. Then he reveals a small bottle containing an antidote, but he doesn't offer it to the girl just yet. Instead, he demands that she beg him earnestly for it. He suggests that if she pleads with enough sincerity, he might consider giving her the antidote. However, his cruelty is interrupted by the arrival of the girl's savior, Semin Bai. As he approaches the scene, he delivers a powerful blow to Dang Yi-hwan, sending him flying through the air in backward motion. Dang Yi-hwan is stopped by a big boulder, but the intensity of the smash. It cracks the boulder. The girl is thrilled to see a recognizable face. She's happier that someone has come to save her. But Dang Yi-hwan isn't just settling with a mere blow. He stands up to fight, using the claws attached to his hands. But he isn't a good match for Semin Bai. Semin Bai recalls a dark chapter from the early days of the Jungwon War. During the invasion of the Gushanbi Palace, the enemy had launched a brutal attack on Sakshan, a stronghold in Jungwon where the Sakshan Dangman family, the Cheongsong, and the Mbipas were located. Semin and his comrades had planned to boost the morale of their forces by defeating the enemy at the Sakshan front. However, the enemy's offense proved to be ruthless and overwhelming. Sakshan was soon drenched in blood and people of all ages were slaughtered. The warriors of the Murim, pressed hard by the Gushanbi Palace's relentless attack, began to surrender one by one. Particularly, the renegades of the Sakshan Dangman family betrayed their own, handing over secrets of poison and martial techniques to the enemy. As a result, the Sakshan front collapsed and the Sakshan Dangman family was annihilated. Among those traitors was the man facing Semin Bai now, Dang Yi-hwan. Back at the house, new students are being gathered, possibly for an important announcement. The students line up, some of them grumbling about the rigorous training schedule and reduced sleep hours. It's clear that some students are dozing off due to their exhaustion. In addition to the black uniformed students representing first years, there are also blue uniformed students the second years present. A certain second-year student points out the complaints of the first years, causing them to hush up. The presence of third-grade seniors at the gathering is highly unusual, as they typically don't join the morning assembly. What's even more surprising is that they are armed, which adds to the intrigue surrounding the situation. To add to the sense of urgency, fourth-grade seniors are also present, armed just like the third-grade students. The fact that even the fourth-grade seniors are marching out with weapons suggests that a serious crisis has unfolded at the Yuchin Hall. Interestingly, all of these seniors are heading towards Semin Bai and his comrade. They locate a hut where the two are staying and demand that they come out. The consequences for not complying could involve them setting the hut on fire. After a brief wait, Semin Bai and his comrade exit the hut. A senior accuses Semin Bai of murdering Dang Yi-hwan of Sakshan Dangman, which seems to be the reason for their confrontation. The girl accompanying Semin Bai tries to explain the situation to the men, stating that it was a life-or-death battle that continued until one of the contestants was defeated. She emphasizes that no fights are allowed in the Yuchin Hall, which is meant to nurture talented individuals who will become leaders in the martial world. However, the main crime here is who allowed such a battle to take place. The men confronting them seem skeptical and demand proof. They mock the Semin family, suggesting that they were removed from the council after losing to the Dang family. This insult triggers Semin Bai, and he decides to respond with his actions. He quickly moves forward, grabbing the bald senior by the throat and demanding that he take responsibility for his words. The senior is taken aback and shocked by Semin Bai's incredible speed. At the Taesangjin, the martial arts department dean, Nam Young, summons Zhang Yanjin, the same bald senior who confronted Semin Bai earlier. He instructs Zhang Yanjin to speak out loud and testify that Semin Bai, who was standing right there, murdered Dang Yi-hwan due to a personal grudge. However, this is a blatant lie. The dean goes on to announce that Semin Bai must be expelled from the Yuchin Hall and locked up in the dungeon of the Murim Li for committing such a crime. He then asks Semin Bai if he agrees with these accusations, to which Semin Bai firmly replies with a resounding no. The dean's anger flares, emphasizing that the Yuchin Hall does not condone murder under any circumstances. He further warns that if Zhang Yanjin's words prove true, it won't be just Semin Bai facing humiliation, but his entire Semin family. Suddenly, three warriors descend from the ceiling, landing strategically around Semin Bai, their swords pointed menacingly at him. In his mind, Semin Bai suspects that the dean is succumbing to the power and influence of the Sakshan Dang family and is attempting to frame him. Now, two more warriors join in, adding their pointed swords to the standoff. The dean challenges Semin Bai to provide proof of the alleged murder. Just then, the door bursts open and a woman enters with a person who is supposed to be dead, Dang Yi-hwan himself, alive and well. This shocking turn of events leaves the bald fourth-grade student in disbelief. The young woman angrily berates Semin Bai, revealing that he had orchestrated this elaborate ruse and she had been forced to play her part in it. She's clearly frustrated with him, and the dean, as well as the others, are taken aback by this shocking revelation. The senior who initially accused Seaman Bai stammers as he attempts to provide excuses, but his efforts are feeble. Seaman Bai seizes this opportunity to take charge of the situation and demands that everyone take responsibility. As all the students gather in the courtyard, Seaman Bai stands before them, his presence commanding attention. The students express their remorse and seek forgiveness for their actions. Remarkably, Seaman Bai has not shed a single drop of blood in this entire affair. However, the forces aligned with the Sakshan Dang family have been silenced by the Yuxin Hall. One particular student observes Seaman Bai as a dangerous individual, noting his calm determination and a hint of cruelty. The student, with his own unwavering goals and the willingness to risk his life for them, remains focused on his ambitions and determined to follow his original plans, leaving little room for thoughts about Seaman Bai in his mind. He remains resolute, intent on achieving his aims, even if it means facing great challenges and sacrifices. In the morning, Seaman Bai and his sister sit down at a table, sipping their morning tea. The sister broaches the topic, asking her brother if he's content with just receiving an apology. She points out that what the dean and the others had planned to do to them was cruel and emotionally taxing. She suggests that they use this situation as an opportunity to expel all those who sided with the Dang family. Seaman Bai responds, saying that it would have been easier if Dang Yi-hwan had been expelled from the Yuxin Hall after the incident. He adds that, aside from that cruel individual, everyone else fought under the belief that they were in the right. Furthermore, the senior cadets in the hall will be the very individuals participating in the future war. Seaman Bai's mention of the word war unsettles his sister, as she may not be aware of the impending conflict. Worried by the implications of the word, she expresses her concerns. Seaman Bai quickly changes the topic, dismissing it as mere nonsense to ease his sister's worries. Seaman Bai's sister expresses her concern for her brother's well-being. She asks if he's truly feeling alright, noting that ever since he woke up from his coma, he's been pushing himself too hard. Seaman Bai reassures her, affirming that he's doing well. He then inquires about how long his sister plans to stay at the Yuxin Hall. His sister responds that he shouldn't worry about her, as the shaman's death prediction guarantees her safety. Seaman Bai advises her to train diligently at the Yuxin Hall to uphold their family's reputation. He reflects on the depth of their family's misfortune, considering that even the youngest family member shares such a resilient mindset. Seaman Bai rises from his seat, signaling his departure. He claims that for the time being, he intends to focus on his training. This is the explanation he offers to his sister. She asks him about his destination, but Seaman Bai chooses to remain silent and departs without revealing his plans. Just as Seaman Bai is about to leave, the same girl who assisted him in hiding, Dang Yi-hwan, arrives and opens a heavy door. She questions where he's going, reminding him that he's currently on probation. Seaman Bai retorts that it's none of her business and implies that she shouldn't pry into other people's matters. His behavior makes the girl think poorly of him. After all, he left her alone with the odious Dang Yi-hwan. It's reasonable for her to form a negative opinion of a person who would do such a thing. Seaman Bai attempts to express his gratitude, but the girl remains furious and doesn't seem content with just that. Seaman's sister intervenes, rushing over and taking hold of the girl's arm. She initiates a conversation, expressing her gratitude in a more refined manner and helping smooth the way for Seaman Bai's departure. Whenever Seaman Bai encounters this girl, he finds it challenging to even speak, which is more difficult for him than engaging in a fight. On this particular night, darkness blankets the surroundings, and Seaman Bai feels it might be one of the darkest nights he's experienced. If Jia Gaoyang has a plan in mind, Seaman Bai knows he must act tonight. Meanwhile, in the junior's dormitory, a first-year student is in a rush. Today marks the end of the month, and he feels like his ancestors must be looking out for him. Seaman Bai, in particular, has been of great help to him. The student's intention is to infiltrate the Yuxin Hall library, and with all the recent distractions, it seems like the perfect time to execute his plan. He believes that the library contains some secret manuscripts related to his family, and he's determined to retrieve them. However, just as he is about to depart, he is confronted by Li Ta-sung. Li Ta-sung emerges from the top of a building, wielding his heavy hammer, ready to strike. The fourth-year senior and the same bald guy who saved the junior from Li Ta-sung's attack questions Li Ta-sung about his presence there. Li Ta-sung appears to be quite worried upon seeing Zhang Yamjin, the senior disciple. This leads him to decide that his best course of action is to make a hasty escape. However, before he can flee, he is struck heavily by the senior disciple. With Li Ta-sung gone, the senior shifts his attention to his junior, who is wandering around at night with a bag on his back. He appears suspicious, and the junior knows he needs to be careful with his explanation. He manages to avoid direct questioning and quickly makes his way to the library. Standing outside the library, he questions himself about whether he can truly go through with entering a place that houses thousands of manuscripts containing the secrets of martial arts. This knowledge is so crucial that in the wrong hands, it could unleash chaos upon the land. Either way, the junior has to do it. He must do it. He recalls himself sitting in his home. His sister comes in crying, and when he goes outside, he's shocked to see that some men from some other family are attacking them. The father displays sincere apologetic behavior. The attacker then points his sword at the son, the same junior. The junior looks him dead stuck in the eye, which for obvious reasons pisses the egoist off and persuades him to beat the son. The junior feels a strong sense of urgency in obtaining his family's martial arts secrets. He knows that he can't live like this forever and needs to access the manuscripts containing the martial arts knowledge that rightfully belongs to his family. However, he starts to doubt his own abilities. Just then, Semenbai arrives on the scene and becomes aware of the situation. He warns the junior that even if one dies and is reincarnated, it's impossible to enter the Wudidong Hall, a place where secrets of martial arts are kept. The junior notices some deer nearby, and it seems like the animals haven't sensed their presence. This raises the question of whether there's a ki barrier or an air curtain, a technique mastered only by martial arts experts at the highest level. The junior wonders if Semenbai possesses such potential. Semenbai takes the junior aside and emphasizes the impending bloodshed that will engulf Jungwon in less than 10 years. He urges the junior to strive forward, even if he doesn't fully understand what Semenbai is trying to convey. Semenbai offers to help the junior with his goals. On the other hand, Zhang Yanjin, after heavily been struck by the senior of the disciples, is sitting against a big boulder, bleeding from the stomach and thinking of killing Semenbai and the senior. He takes out a demon pill and consumes it. His body surges through a lot of energy, making him ever so powerful. Semenbai manages to infiltrate the highly guarded Yuchen Hall with the help of the sleeping potion crafted by Jia Gaoyang, a junior disciple. Jia Gaoyang had invested all his money into acquiring the necessary ingredients for the potion ever since he was admitted to the Yuchen Hall. His potion would later become known as Jia Gaoyang's Mahanso, which translates to Truth Soul Quagmire. Semenbai expertly uses the sleeping potion on the guards he encounters, rendering them unconscious. By covering their mouths, he ensures that they don't make any noise as they fall. With the guards incapacitated, Semenbai proceeds further into the hall. His determination and resourcefulness are clear as he navigates through this highly secure area. Jia Gaoyang's precautions include 2 layers of traps inside the Wudong Hall, the 8 Heavenly Immortals art and the Daradon Geum art. Fortunately for Semenbai, he has encountered the Daradon Geum art in his previous life, so he is well prepared to face and overcome it. This familiarity with the technique gives him an advantage as he navigates through the hall. The 8 Heavenly Immortals art inside the Wudong Hall is indeed a mysterious and potentially dangerous technique. However, since it was created by the junior's ancestor, it shouldn't pose a significant threat to Semenbai, who has a deep understanding of martial arts. While the junior outside the hall begins to question Semenbai's abilities and whether he can be trusted, he notices the unwavering determination in Semenbai's eyes. Semenbai's focused determination gives the junior confidence in him and his ability to complete the task at hand, as Jia Gaoyang had also trusted him with this important mission. Semenbai successfully enters the library filled with ancient manuscripts and begins searching for the martial arts books belonging to the huge family. After tossing many books around, he finally locates the desired manuscripts, along with an additional one that seems promising. Just as Semenbai is about to leave with his newfound knowledge, he is suddenly attacked by Zhang Yanjin, the same senior from earlier. Meanwhile, outside the library, Jia Gaoyang is waiting for Semenbai and is confronted by guards. Fortunately, the bald senior intervenes to help him escape. The situation becomes increasingly tense as Semenbai faces off against Zhang Yanjin inside the library, while Jia Gaoyang and the bald senior work to ensure their escape from the Yuchen Hall. Jia Gaoyang is waiting outside for Semenbai, but she's surprised and worried when he doesn't return from the hall with the important manuscripts. To make matters worse, she spots a group of guards approaching, and they seem intent on talking to her. Feeling panicked and startled, Jia Gaoyang is suddenly saved by a mysterious man who appears just in the nick of time. It turns out that all the guards have received orders to apprehend anyone wandering near Yuchen Hall tonight. It's becoming clear that Semenbai's actions are attracting attention. Although the 2 guards who were about to capture Jia Gaoyang are stunned by his unexpected escape, they decide to stick to their mission and continue searching around the hall for any signs of suspicious activity. The mysterious man who rescued Jia Gaoyang starts questioning him about the situation at Yuchen Hall. He mentions that there's an emergency there and anyone found wandering around is being apprehended immediately. He asks Jia Gaoyang what he was doing there. Jia Gaoyang appears shocked by these revelations. Worries begin to creep in as he starts to fear for Simon Bai. Could Simon Bai have been captured as well, causing the emergency? The mysterious warrior skilled in his ways senses Jia Gaoyang's anxiety. He presses further, demanding to know Jia Gaoyang's involvement in the unfolding emergency. He makes it clear that lying is not an option. Jia Gaoyang becomes increasingly alarmed, realizing that this man is determined to extract the truth from him, and he contemplates his next move. However, Jia Gaoyang may have underestimated the mysterious man. He admits that he had been curious about the man's actions and decided to do some background research. He's surprised that this man somehow knows about the connection between Simon Bai and Jia Gaoyang. The warrior insists on an explanation. Meanwhile, Simon Bai finds himself locked in a fierce battle with a guard. Just when he is about to make his escape with the manuscripts containing valuable martial arts secrets, he gets struck on the head. Fortunately, he doesn't lose consciousness and remains on his feet, determined to fight back. The guard who attacked him is none other than Li Taesung, who makes fun of Simon Bai, resembling him with a rat who doesn't know anything about self-defense. Simon Bai's frustration grows as he engages in the battle against Li Taesung. Initially, Simon Bai is on the receiving end of blows, and he's perplexed by the unexpected power that Li Taesung possesses. There's no time for him to ponder, though, as Li Taesung is relentless and lands a heavy blow, believing that he has the upper hand this time. But Simon Bai manages to dodge the blow skillfully, surprising Li Taesung. Simon Bai seizes the opportunity and launches an ambush from behind. However, Li Taesung swiftly counters the attack with his heavy weapon, knocking Simon Bai away. Despite the force of the blow, Simon Bai lands on his feet. Li Taesung doesn't let up and strikes Simon Bai once more with his heavy hammer. Simon Bai is heavily battered by these blows, and it seems like Li Taesung's strength is taking a toll on him. Outside, other guards have become aware of Simon Bai's intrusion into Wudong Hall. They're now in hot pursuit, determined to protect the secrets hidden within the hall. There's no mercy for anyone who enters Wudong Hall, and since Simon Bai has just committed this act, a horde of pursuers is closing in, intent on killing him. Simon Bai becomes suspicious of the sudden surge in Li Taesung's strength. How can one man become so much more powerful in such a short time? He begins to suspect that it might be due to the infamous Demon King pills. Li Taesung then employs the earth-shattering hammer technique on Simon Bai, but to everyone's surprise, Simon Bai manages to block it with his sword, leaving Li Taesung utterly shocked. The impact is so powerful that Simon Bai's sword generates electricity, causing sparks to fly around the hall. Despite being covered in blood, Simon Bai stands tall with unwavering determination on his face. He begins to speak about the notorious Demon King pills, explaining that those who consume them can instantly unleash their full potential, much like a drug that grants incredible powers. However, he points out the common downside of drugs, the inevitable side effects. The mere mention of the word drug startles Li Taesung. Simon Bai goes on to reveal that the Demon King pills were created by the people from the Gushanbi Palace and their deadly consequences are unknown. Even young samurais who were unaware of the drug's nature consumed it, leading them to commit unthinkable acts such as killing their own teachers and even their parents. It's a tragic fate. But there's a crucial difference in perspective here. Li Taesung doesn't see the pills as a drug. He's obsessed with power, whether it's achieved through an elixir or a drug. To him, power is everything, and it has corrupted him deeply. Simon Bai's anger surges and he strikes at Li Taesung with his sword, unleashing lightning. Li Taesung is sent airborne and Simon Bai rushes to strike him again, employing the deadly demon wind god technique. Simon Bai firmly believes that people corrupted by power like Li Taesung should have been eradicated from the face of the earth a long time ago. The move he executes is incredibly effective, delivering a devastating blow to Li Taesung. As the guards arrive at the Wudong Hall, they notice something intriguing. There's a hole in the walls. It seems that Simon Bai may have managed to escape after his intense battle. The guards are determined to find him and bring him to justice. While they don't yet know the identity of the intruder, their focus is squarely on locating and punishing him. One of the guards points to a figure stuck in the wall, but to their surprise, it's not Simon Bai, it's Li Taesung. About an hour ago, when the battle was still raging, Jia Gaoyang and the mysterious person who had saved her arrived at the Wudong Hall where Simon Bai had been fighting. Witnessing Simon Bai's remarkable combat skills had left a strong impression on the mysterious individual, leading him to assist in Simon Bai's escape. Curious about the man's motives for helping him, Simon Bai decides to inquire. The man reveals that he wanted to formally apologize to Simon Bai. This revelation surprises Simon Bai, prompting him to ask why an apology was necessary. The man then shares his story, explaining that he had initially believed Dang Yiwan was doing the right thing. He had harbored prejudice against the Simon family for opposing the Dang family, leading him to persecute his own family. Deeply remorseful, the man apologizes for his past actions and shortcomings. Simon Bai, who has been reincarnated, recalls memories from his previous life. He remembers Zhang Yanjin, the leader of the senior cadets, as someone with exceptional commanding and military skills, even being considered the most talented among the seniors. However, Simon Bai is puzzled because he has never heard of a warrior named Zhang Yanjin playing an active role in the Great War. This leads him to the conclusion that Zhang Yanjin may have died before the Zhongwen War, a tragic waste of such talent. Determined to change this outcome, Simon Bai decides that he must save him. Simon Bai graciously accepts the humble apology of the warrior who aided him. The heartwarming scene also inspires Jia Gaoliang, who looks forward to becoming a skilled warrior like them. Afterwards, Simon Bai generously hands over to Jia Gaoliang his family's lost manuscripts of Flying Knife Bridge arts and Great Constellation Soul arts. In addition, he shares a manuscript that enhances Kia with Jia Gaoliang, who is thrilled to receive them. He had taken a chance on their existence based on his ancestors' mentions, and now that he holds them, he feels overjoyed and expresses deep gratitude to Simon Bai. The man also understands Simon Bai's reason for entering the hall, realizing the extent to which Simon Bai risked his life to retrieve the manuscripts. This admiration turns Simon Bai into an idol in the man's eyes. Meanwhile, Li Taxiang, the manager of Wudong Hall's Manjuman, faces prosecution for attempting to steal military-class secrets. Due to the uproar at Yuchen Hall, intense training on a tight schedule is imposed on its members. During this time, Jia Gaoliang diligently trains during the day and practices his family's martial arts techniques at night. His dedication pays off as he manages to master the leaf blade art. Initially, he faces numerous failures, but with persistent effort, he achieves consistency and progress. Much of this success is attributed to Simon Bai's guidance. Additionally, Simon Bai has provided him with a manuscript of an unprecedented martial art, one that doesn't focus on rapidly strengthening muscles or enhancing internal strength, but excels in a specific area, making it one of the best in the world in its particular discipline. Jia Gaoliang now feels a deep sense of gratitude and duty towards Simon Bai. His main motivation is to bring glory to his family and be a source of strength for Simon Bai. Meanwhile, Simon Bai finds himself in a house, facing scolding from the dean for not attending the induction ceremony. He calmly explains that he was in long probation, which causes the elder to feel a bit embarrassed. To defend himself further, Simon Bai mentions that he had already ordered his release a while ago, but it's been 5 days and he still hasn't attended any classes. Simon Bai then drops a bombshell, expressing his desire to join the Yuchen subjugation competition. Every word that comes out of Simon Bai's mouth startles the dean. Initially, the dean doesn't resist Simon Bai's appeal, but as he processes the request, he raises his voice in confusion. He even questions if Simon Bai knows what the competition entails. Simon Bai calmly replies that it's a competition where seniors apply to participate. Despite the additional information provided by the dean, Simon Bai remains resolute. The dean eventually grants him permission. After Simon Bai has left, someone asks the dean why he allowed Simon Bai to participate when disciples under probation aren't typically eligible. Furthermore, they discuss Simon Bai's strength, suggesting he might even defeat Yang Piang, a senior disciple. The dean dismisses their concerns with a laugh and shows them a form of a participant in the competition. The two men conclude that Simon Bai doesn't have much of a chance to win and may even be in danger. However, they acknowledge that Simon Bai is no amateur. Yang Piang from the prosecutor's office is clearly under the influence of the Gushanbi Palace. Even Manjuman's Li Taxiang has taken the Demon King pill from the Gushanbi Palace. Simon Bai has been aware that individuals from the Gushanbi Palace have secretly infiltrated the Zhongwan Murim, but their presence has become known earlier than expected. Moreover, if they manage to recruit higher-ranking martial artists, they will have even more followers. While there should have been plenty of time before the war breaks out, a problem arises as Simon Bai observes the rate of infiltration. It seems almost impossible for them to invade Zhongwan in just a couple of years, leaving little time for Simon Bai to execute his plans. His first step is to capture the spies who had infiltrated the Yuchen Hall. The Yuchen subjugation is a competition where the most talented warriors participate and the winner is coerced into joining their ranks. This presents an opportunity for Simon Bai. If he manages to win the competition, he could easily meet them. After a few days, a group known as the Black Tigers appears in the forest. The captain recognizes them as more than just a bandit group. They are a Merim guild. This raises questions among the group members since they only consisted of 4 individuals. While they were internally discussing this, they noticed people approaching. The Black Tigers ambush a young man and woman intending to rob them of their possessions. It seems like they might be a group of thieves. With no other option, the young couple offer the bandits the little coins they have and beg for mercy. Since the thieves don't stand to gain much, one of them grabbed the woman's hand and declared that he would take her. Her panicked husband and the poor woman both cry for help in the dense jungle. Fortunately, luck was on their side this day. The bald man, the same mysterious individual from earlier, appears at the scene with his friends. Together, they swiftly eliminate the filthy bandits. The young couple, unaware that the Yuchin subjugation competition has begun, are grateful for their rescue. After the battle, their saviors kindly offer to escort them to the village. However, the young husband has an alternative idea. He humbly declines their help and instead points in a specific direction, suggesting that if they go that way, they could reach the village more quickly. With the Shield Mountain bandits in the area taken care of, the warrior and his friends continue on to their next target. Along the way, Zhang Yanjin, the warrior, spots Simon Bai sitting beneath a tree and greets him. Zhang Yanjin asks what Simon Bai is doing there and takes a closer look at him. He inquires if the shield on Simon Bai's back is all he has prepared for the competition. Zhang Yanjin explains that in the Yuchin competition, they need to strengthen their armament for better defense, and that's why he is carrying a shield on his back. Additionally, he admits that it looks cool to carry around. Zhang Yanjin sought further clarification, mentioning that he isn't referring to weapons. He's asking if Simon Bai has recruited any other participants to aid him in the competition. Unfortunately, Simon Bai was not aware of this rule. Zhang Yanjin bids him farewell, and together with his friends heads toward the next place. Zhang Yanjin takes out a map with marks indicating the locations of various bandit groups. His plan is to eliminate these groups before others can get to them. Just as he's about to proceed, he encounters Jia Gaoyang, who introduces himself as a member of Simon Bai's group. Despite the dangers involved, Jia Gaoyang is determined to assist Simon Bai and further enhance his own martial skills. Together, they move forward. However, Simon Bai issues a warning to Jia Gaoyang, stating that if he becomes too much of a nuisance, he'll be kicked out of the group. In another village, a poor Jin Woon returns home after being beaten by some villagers for begging. He apologizes to his father for not being able to bring anything to eat. His father, consumed by desperation for liquor, collapses and coughs up blood in front of his child. Warrior approaches the chief and provides a comprehensive update on the current situation. Despite the Yuchin competition being underway, there haven't been any provocations from the Red Blood group. There's a possibility that the Yuchin Hall people have already dealt with the Red Blood group. The competitors in this competition are far from ordinary. They seem almost like demons from hell. This is why the Dean and his comrade have extended an invitation to Byam Yorien, the legendary invincible sword and rumored master killer. Given the current circumstances, even hiring a mercenary willing to confront the Red Blood group for money is considered a viable option by the chief. However, the young Junwoon expresses his distrust in entrusting the town's safety to someone who may not live much longer. To make his point clear, he takes out his dagger and sticks it into the table, emphasizing that they should retrieve the money they paid in advance and send this person away. The determined child even goes as far as to declare that if the mayor doesn't act, he will take matters into his own hands. Meanwhile, the young child whose father had coughed up blood earlier is clutching a handful of corn in his hands. A fire has broken out in the forest and people are frantically searching for someone. The little child is running while holding his father's hand, with villagers in pursuit accusing him of theft. However, the father stumbles and falls. Upon reaching the child and father, the same Jin Woon who took matters into his own hands earlier suggests that if they return the money, it will be allowed to leave. Unfortunately, the poor child had already spent that money on his mother's treatment, which tragically couldn't save her and she passed away during the treatment. The child's explanation fails to satisfy the desperate man, who vehemently argues that the money represents the villagers' hard-earned savings. In a fit of anger, the man brandishes his weapon and directs it toward the child, ready to strike. Fortunately, Simon Bai arrives just in time to intervene, preventing the fatal blow. Simon Bai becomes incensed at the villagers for bullying the impoverished family, and his presence alone is enough to make the villagers scatter in fear. The child expresses his gratitude to Simon Bai, who gives him some money and advises him to use it for his father's medicine and seek safety. The child is profoundly thankful and promises to repay Simon Bai's kindness someday. As the child and his father depart, Jia Gaoyang reminds Simon Bai that there is a group of bandits in the area. Dealing with these bandits could indeed prove beneficial. Unfortunately, the child and his father have wandered into the territory of these very bandits. Despite his previous illness, the father's condition seems to have improved and he single-handedly dispatches all the bandits with his sword. Shockingly, he now intends to confront Seaman Bai, the very person who had come to their aid.